as I said Tuesday when I handed this out, if you cannot write so that I can read the short answer things, type them, please don't, I've got to be able to read that. Everybody on this? +5? Okay, cool, that's it. Then nobody else gets +5. Yeah!
I need that little +5 because.
All right, we'll get started. Gang, I'm going to refresh a little bit as we moved from, again, the psychology and addiction into, we started looking at assessment and all those kinds of things. You've got your big assessment handout. And one of the first things that we looked at, and then we talked, do you have your assessment handout? Did I ever get you that?
Oh, no, I don't do it.
I don't think I did either. Please do this. Do me a big favor. Text me a reminder. Please, otherwise, because that's, I don't want to blow you off.
Right, no, I completely understand.
Text me a reminder so that, and Dan, don't forget assessment for Tuesday. Please do that. Otherwise, I'll forget it. Anyway, you guys. One of the first things we talked about in assessment, remember, assessment. If you don't know what the problem is in the first place, how the hell are you going to know what to do about it? Assessment. One of the most important activities a good counselor does. Assessment. Assessment is not just a thing you do at the beginning. Where, okay, let's figure out what your problem is. Let's figure out what your diagnosis is. No, assessment is not. What is it? Assessment is not an event. Assessment is a process that continues throughout the entire course of treatment. And even actually beyond treatment, if you're doing follow-up and things like that. Assessment, knowing who this person is in a way that you can do all those other very important things, including what's another very important thing from the very beginning that you have to do. I harped about it last semester. What was that?
Being able to see if what you're doing is working.
Pardon me?
Being able to
well,
see
that along the whole way and stuff like that. But what was another thing? And again, I harped. What did you say? No matter what, this is so important. The establishment of
the empathy bond.
The empathy bond, that relationship with that human being. And how can you form in a true, real empathy bond? That true, real. What is it? That person needs to, what did I say? They need to feel felt. They need to feel that connection. You need to be genuine with that. Guys, what was that? Let's remember another thing. What was that? The if-then hypotheses. What was that? If. How did that go? Somebody help me with that. If certain conditions are present, the if-then hypotheses. If certain conditions are present in the counselor, then, remember that? Growth and positive change can take place in the client. The if-then hypothesis.
Yep, I remember that.
If certain conditions are present in the counselor, then growth and positive change can take place in the client. And what were those three things? Who remember? Well, number one was congruence. Number one, the if-then hypothesis, congruence. Yes. In other words, the counselor kind of needs to have his or her act together. Now, none of us walk on water. Nobody's perfect. But the whole idea of this empathy bond relationship is, and this is a humanistic concept, if you remember, humanistic psychology. And the whole idea of this is this humanistic approach. Remember that humanistic approach, which was very non-directive and that kind of a thing. And the whole idea is, I'm not going to tell you what to do, what to think, how to be. I'm not going to tell you how to solve this problem. Instead, I'm going to serve as a mirror. Remember that discussion. I'm going to serve as a mirror. Via our interaction, via our relationship, you're going to discover yourself. You're going to discover yourself, and as you discover yourself, you will discover your solutions. That whole thing. I'm going to serve as a mirror for you. And that first condition, if certain conditions are present, in that congruence. In other words, well, if you're going to be a mirror for somebody, hopefully there's not too many cracks or smudges. Now, again, It's not that we walk on water. It's not that we're perfect. But an example. Think about that. Let's say that you get a DUI. You go to a dry roads meeting on Saturday morning, and you can smell alcohol on the counselor's breath, and don't think that doesn't happen. And things like, you see what I'm saying? Like that. You're going to sit there. Who the hell are you to tell me about drinking? That kind of a thing. Remember, you guys, again, the if-then hypothesis is a humanistic approach, concept, an idea. And again, the most important thing is the quality of this relationship. I call it the empathy bond. That's another one of those Celticisms. But the thing is that this is so damn important. What did I say? That if you don't form that bond with that person, I don't care how good you are at anything else. You may be the world's greatest motivational interviewer, RET or this or that or whatever counseling approach, whatever. If you don't form that relationship well with that person in the first place, I don't care how good you are at something else, it's not going to work as good. You see what I'm saying? That is so important. I'm not a humanist. I'm a cognitive behaviorist, but I know that if you don't form that bond first, I don't care how damn good you are at something else, it's not going to be as good as if you had formed that bond. And that number one thing is congruence. And then what was number two?
Empathy.
Empathy. And what is that? And again, gang, this is so important. Empathy. What is that? Your ability to what? Feel that other person. Again, that client needs to feel felt. Your ability to, as you listen to, hear, experience, be in the moment with that client. Now, one of the things that you got to do in order to be in the moment with that client is not be busy already judging and assuming about that client. Hey, you're a fucking alcoholic for crying. I'm not listening to a damn word you say. I don't need to know. I already know what you are. You're a fucking alcoholic. That's all I need to know. Because all alcoholics are the same, and you're just lying big asshole anyway. Yeah.
That's not empathy.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. No, you've got to be in the moment, which means you shut up that bullshit. You knock off that judgment. You knock off, you think you know everything and all that other stuff. You be in the moment, you hear that person. And then you hear that person in a way that you can, what? Reflect back to them that stuff. The way you communicate in that client's what?
Language.
Communicate in that experiential language. And gang, you can't fake this empathy. I understand you. What happens very often is what? You say, I understand you, and then the very next thing you say clearly indicates, I don't understand you. What have I just done to that relationship?
Broke it.
And that kind of a thing. This has to be real. It has to be genuine. Now, what has this got to do with assessment? That's right now. Assessment, listening to, hearing, experiencing, being in the moment. Let me know who you are. And you got to believe I give a damn about who you are also. Does that make sense? I care who you are.
Dan.
I'm not just doing some job. We got to get this damn form filled out. Hurry up. No. I care who you are. Yes. No.
What if you just don't like the person? What if it's just really a personality conflict? Is it up to us to change and...
that's a very, 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 very important, good question we'll be talking about next semester.
Okay.
No, it is. It's that. And are you going to have that happen? You are.
Yeah.
You are going to meet. You are just fallible, imperfect human beings like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Just because you put that counselor hat on doesn't mean, no. Once again, we don't walk on water. You are going to meet somebody one day, and the split second you meet them, I don't like this person. You don't even know what their name is yet.
Yeah.
You have no idea what they're about. Have you ever had that experience?
Yes.
Well, and we're going to talk about how do you deal with that. Mm-hmm. Can I get past that? Okay. But if you are in a situation where you are now trying to work with somebody, you can't make that connection. Mm-hmm. You can't. Mm-hmm. Then it's your ethical duty to refer that client.
Can you actually do that? I mean, does that actually happen?
Yeah,
that they would let you do that, or they'd be like, no, you need to take on your case.
No, you know what? A good clinical supervisor knows that's the best right thing to do. Now, let's say that I'm your clinical supervisor, And every third client you start with, you're becoming, I can't work with this person, I can't work with
Right.
But then we got to talk a little bit here. But no, that is your ethical duty.
Okay.
Again, sometimes first impressions, the halo effect and things like that. I mean, honestly, the first time people saw me, did you really think I was going to be your teacher?
I thought you were.
I hope he doesn't sit next to me in class. He's probably got needles in his pocket. You know what? And that kind of, so, check yourself with that. But if you honestly can't, no, you have an ethical duty to refer. And so that's the way that works.
I thought there was no way you're not in recovery.
Pardon me?
I thought there was no way you're not in recovery. I just did. You thought it too.
I just wanted to know what happened to his thumb. I came away from my first meeting with you being like, I gotta find out what the fuck happened.
I didn't even know. I didn't even notice.
Same thing happened to this.
I know that now.
But anyway, you guys, the
Sweet.
importance of this empathy bond. What does that got to do with assessment? How do you form that? How are you able to, by hearing that person, by doing this stuff? Gang, one of the big advantages of doing assessment well is, and this is not counseling, although it's the most important step in counseling. This is basically, again, understanding, knowing who this person is. And one of the great advantages of spending this time well with this person is that you do get to start to form that empathy bond so that by the time it gets time to start counseling, it's there already. You see what I'm saying? It's not something where, okay, well, we did assessment, now we got to form a bond. Let's be friends. How do you? No. You do this assessment, you do it well, just as a natural side effect of doing this, if you're doing this well, you're forming that empathy bond. You see what I'm saying? Once again, you can't lie about this. And don't try. You're not going to, don't get caught in a lie. Never. I understand you, and then clearly indicate you don't understand. And then what was that third thing? What was that third thing?
Unconditional positive regard.
And well, that one becomes kind of a sticky wicket, doesn't it? Again, well, I see that you sold drugs to 12-year-olds, bad drugs to 12-year-olds. I see you killed a family of 4, or I see you shot the gas station guy for $10. And, well, we all have a bad day. I love you anyway. Is that what we're talking about here?
No.
No. It's gang, once again, this whole idea, what did we say? We got to be careful with this. No, it's not okay what you're doing. That's not good stuff. It's not okay that you're doing that. It's not that we, I just love you and I see, I have a bad day. No, it's not that. But what is that? That unconditional, well, how about if we say it this way? That true, genuine belief in that person's ability to change. You see what I'm saying? That you have that true, genuine belief in this person's ability to change. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And again, you guys, that as you're establishing this, and again, that you do understand, don't forget, what was a really, really, really big caution thing we said about it? Remember, I understand you does not mean I agree with you, approve of what you're doing, endorse this thought you're having. Don't forget that. That's a very important, even in interpersonal communication, whether it's between counselor and client or two best friends or spouses or anything else, this is where things go wrong sometimes. You got to remember, I understand it does not mean I agree or approve. You have to, as a counselor, understand. But then you also have to, that very, very fine line between understanding and approving. No, this isn't okay what you're doing. No. This way of thinking about things, I don't think that's a good way to think about things. I understand why you're thinking that way. I understand how right now you're thinking that way. But that doesn't mean I approve of it, endorse it, or agree with it. Does that make sense? And you guys got to remember that. And you hold yourself in a way. And again, with unconditional positive regard, this genuine belief that this person can have, that capacity to change. Now remember, gang, what was something else? Everything, gang, everything always ties together. I'm talking about stuff that, all these different things we started sneaking into stuff like, I'm going to keep sneaking it in. Guess what? By this semester, we're going to be sneaking a year's worth of stuff in, not just a semester's worth of stuff. And what was another very important, what did we say from the very start? What was that? Hi, welcome to treatment. Oh, I guess you had a good time last night. How were the kids? Well, I guess you don't care, do you? You were too busy having fun. Hey, here's all the bad stuff that's going to happen to you if you don't quit. Oh, hey, here's all the great stuff that'll happen to you if you do quit. And what did I say is one thing that we ought to be talking to that client about from the very start? What was that?
That you know they're scared, but
Well,
you know they're
that kind
scared.
of stuff.
Don't make promises.
We start to work on right away.
Self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy, and what was that? That belief in self.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I mean, that self-efficacy. And again, this is probably not that person's first rodeo. In fact, they've been in detox 15 times. They've been in treatment. I've been in your treatment center. I went to your stupid meetings. I read that book. I talked to that person. I did this and that. And that person who, what was that word? Learned helplessness. Remember that? Learned helplessness and stuff. And this person, they don't have much of a belief in themselves. They aren't feeling very good. They really, truly don't believe in. And remember, self-efficacy is a part of self-esteem. That belief that I can reach a goal, solve a problem, meet a challenge, deal with a conflict, that I can. And that person, they probably don't have much. As a matter of fact, they probably have a very low opinion of themselves in all kinds of ways, let alone just self-efficacy and things like that. And we have to, from the start, it's one of the most important things. Because, gang, what did we say about that self-efficacy? What did we say? I mean, think of your own experience in life. How hard are you going to be willing to work at doing something? How much risk are you going to be willing to take? How much are you going to be willing to pay to do something you already know you can't do? You know what I'm saying? And that's where that client is. And that's where that client is right now. They truly. Why are we happy? What a stupid ass question that is. You ever isn't that about the stupidest dumbass question you can? Well, that's right there with what was that other one? You're afraid of success. Hunt you down. That kind of stuff like that, and things like that. Gang, this person, they have. I mean, their sense of self-efficacy, and just because you say, "Oh, buck up and believe in it," no, the talk is cheap with that, and it's not going to just. They have to start to formulate that sense of self and belief in self. And so that third condition in this if-then hypothesis, that unconditional positive regard. And remember, you guys, it's not so much that, well, I did, I see you killed all these people, did this and that, and I see you, I noticed you sold, you told them it was Ritalin, but it was really fentanyl. I saw 3 kids dead. Well, don't worry, we all have a bad day. I love you anyway. No, that's not what that is. It's that you have this unconditional belief in that person, that they can. And guys, in the beginning, and how you demonstrate this, in the beginning, they don't have it. And so how you can demonstrate that to that client, for them. You don't believe in yourself. The only belief in self-energy here is coming from me. Can I roll that to you? Does that make sense? That kind of a thing like that, you guys. And again, don't get caught in a lie. Don't sit there and say, I believe in you, and then the very next thing you say or do clearly indicates you don't believe in that person. Do you see what I'm saying with that? And did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask it seems like you might be, at that point, almost walking a fine line between, like, when you're trying to understand them, to be careful not to excuse the behavior, but I know you didn't know that was going to happen, because at the same time they have to accept responsibility.
See, that's it. That, once again, understand. You're right. Understand does not mean agree with, approve, endorse, and that is a very, very fine line, you guys. You know what? I mean, this is, once again, this is a mistake. This is why dinner tonight gets ruined. This is why the whole weekend. This is why this and that. But people, best friends, spouses, and everybody else and stuff like that. Because you know what? We have this idea. I understand you is different from I agree with you. the most effective way to disagree with somebody is to understand what it is you're disagreeing about. People that don't, you know, and there's that very big mixed message out there that somehow or another understanding equals agree with. And it doesn't. And you counselors, you do have to watch that. And you do have to make sure the client understands the difference between those things. You see what I'm saying with that? And so, yes. And so this if-then hypothesis. Now, what has that got to do with assessment once again? The whole idea that as you're starting this assessment, that you're not only doing that for the sake of gathering that information. Yes, you need this information. How the hell are you going to know what to work on or how to fix something if you don't know what's broke in the first place? You also need that information about that person as a human being so that I can form this. And then as you do that, you form that relationship with that person. That true, trusted, empathy bond relationship with that person. What a wonderful time to do it as you're establishing this via the assessment. And doing that and working with this person and getting to know this person. What a wonderful time to do that. So that when it is time to move. Don't forget, guys, assessment is not intervention. Now, we got a little snippet in your handout. One area, there's one page where we're going to look at assessment as an intervention. And there are some sneaky little things we can do. And we're going to look at that. Where we can assessment as intervention. And if you think about it, anything you do with that person, if you do it well, is intervention. I mean, just forming a relationship. You may be the only person that really has done this for that person, at least in a long time. They haven't really felt. They haven't felt cared about, understood for a real long time anyway. That's helpful. They haven't this, they haven't that. So assessment. You know, the problem with assessment is that very often it's still seen this way by most people, especially in this, again, productivity now world. Counselors it's more and more and more. We're counselors. You're literally, I'm not kidding. It's a major change in period now with this Unity Point stuff. Guess what? Let's say that you're a counselor for the Human Service Center or TAS, what is it? Guess what? You walk in the morning, you hit a time clock just like if you were walking to your drill press at Caterpillar. You take lunch, you time out. And then, in that middle, you're being observed productivity. And what is productivity? Generating billable hours. I spent 15 minutes doing this with this client. I spent a half hour doing productivity. And they have quotas. I mean, it's kind of like you are supposed to make 50 widgets every day. Are you making your 50 widgets? And things like that. And it's becoming more and more of that factory kind of a thing, which means the pressure to get that productivity. Guys, this is the reality of the world you're walking into now with this stuff. I mean, this is just the counselors out there who have been in this field for a while, who have worked it the way it used to, they're shocked with this. Really, it's knocking the hell out of them. You walk in, the first thing you do is punch in. And then it's productivity. And that kind of a thing like that. It's like you're working a drill press in the factory or something like that. And so the pressure to get those productivity numbers, which means what? Well, I got to talk to this guy about big. I got a number. I got to talk to this person. I got a number. Which means, guess what? I should have spent an hour really getting to know this person. Instead, I spent a half hour, got my check mark, and now I got to go over here and do this and get another check mark. You see what I'm saying? The kind of thing like that. Which means that the pressure to do this well is going to become more and more. Your ability to learn how to do this stuff, not only very effectively, but very efficiently, is going to be of supreme importance. And the better you do this assessment in the very beginning, and getting to know this person, and you know, getting to know that there's two levels of knowing that person. Knowing that person as now the client, in other words, knowing about who this person is in terms of why are they here, what's the problem, what do we got to do here. That's one thing. But then what's the other level of knowing this person? Knowing this person as a human. You cannot, what did we say? You cannot form that relationship with, you cannot form that empathy bond with a diagnostic label. With that, what was that? That nomothetic label. Remember that word, nomothetic? You can't form a relationship with that nomothetic label. Yes, you got to get to know that person. Who are they? Why are they here? What's the problem? What's this? What's that? Are you in the right place? What are we going to do about it? And all that kind of stuff. But you also need to also get to know that person as a human being. You cannot form that empathy bond with a nomothetic label. And then, gang, everybody with me with this? And we've talked about this, but now in this situation, how important this is. I grieve for our missing colleagues. This is so damn important, what we're talking about right now. This right here is not supposed to make it or break it. Some of the stuff we're talking about right now, I don't care how great you are at your counseling skills and whether this lasts a week or a decade with this client, if what you're right now is going to be so important in making or breaking this. Does that make sense? It's so damn important. I grieve for our people not here. Yes, we're going to go with the benefit of the doubt today. I don't know what the hell the problem is, but the thing is, this is so damn important.
When you first started talking about these stages of change model, and you was talking about working on the levels of ambivalence with the clients and stuff, and you had put that in there to help the clients with issues of self-efficacy, resolving negative change, and helping them with their confidence.
We're getting with that.
Okay, but the thing is that there should be, I understand, like you was almost saying, there's no time limit, because that person may have some mental disorders that you haven't even.
Well, that's the other thing we got to find out about this person. All that stuff.
Yeah.
And this assessment, gang. All that you got to do. This, gang. When we look at it, and all last semester, there's a reason why 18% success. Like we think we're big shots at 18% success. One of the biggest, most important reasons for treatment failure, or at least disappointment of them all, is poor assessment. From the very beginning, if you haven't done your assessment job, if you haven't gotten this information and assembled this understanding of this person in the first place, nothing is going to go as well from that point on as it could have had you done that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Two questions. How infrequently do you meet the client, generally speaking, and how frequently can you update your assessment?
Well, and again, like we said, assessment is a process. It's not just an event.
Right.
Okay, we're going to get this done, then we're done with that. And we're done with this, then we're going to... No, it is an ongoing. You assess your client every time you meet with them.
And how often do you...
And then, how often you meet with your client, that depends on a lot of parameters and factors of the program. What's the program? Is it residential? Is it outpatient? Who's funding the program? What do the funders expect? And all that kind of a thing like that. I mean, you go to a for-pay methadone treatment program, you may see your client once a month. And you go to a 30-day residential treatment program, you may see that client once a day. You know, and things like, so that depends on a lot of different things. But the fact is, yes, assessment is not an event. Okay, well, fill this out and get this done and do that. Let's hurry up and get this stupid assessment done so we can start the counseling. No, assessment is the most important step of counseling, and it is an event, it is a process, not an event. Does that make sense? You never stop assessing. Gang, never forget this. How important this is from the very start, and why. And how you're going to turn this opportunity into establishing that empathy bond with that client. That client, kept saying it, that client needs to feel felt. But gang, this is your job. You can't fake that. Every one of us, I am sure, in this room have received dishonest affection, positive regards. You know it. You know when somebody's shoving it up your ass. You know when they're playing that game. There's little more insulting than that, is there, in interaction? When you know that, right? Don't let that client feel that about you. Don't let that client feel that way about you. They got a genuine feeling felt. And again, there's always fine lines. Feeling felt, well, that's not, I get to feel my client. Is that what you're saying? Come on. Seriously, though. There are, and next semester, when we get into this relationship and again, all this stuff with counter transfers and everything, and counseling, there are very fine lines. There are very fine lines between appropriate and inappropriate and everything else with this. But that client, your ability, and gang, how are you going to be able to do that? Demonstrate that empathy, that unconditional positive regard, that true, genuine, you want to be there and hear this person and all that, by listening, hearing, which means that you got to shut up, and not just verbally, but mindfully. I already know who this person is, and I already know they're full of shit, and I already know this, and I already know that, and stuff like that. You ever had a heated discussion with somebody? Think about this again. Always, gang, one of the best ways to remember what not to do as a counselor is to remember your personal experience with people. How about this one? Where you're having a heated discussion with somebody, and they're not hearing a damn word you say, and you know damn well all they're trying to do is they can't wait for you to shut up long enough for them to say what they want to say, and they already know what that fuck, yeah. How does that feel? Not good, does it? It sucks. Don't do that to your client. And it happens, you guys. Don't do that to your client. And then there's another dimension with this. And that is where we get into this whole big. And we started to intimate with this last time as we started talking about this stuff. The whole thing. There's a major issue out there. The now versus the past. The now versus the past. What is that all about? The now versus the past. And right now, in substance abuse treatment, the now is winning this race. And gang, in other words, all you got to worry about is now. What's going on? What is that person's diagnosis now? What are they doing now? What do we need to change now? And everything else. As a matter of fact, to spend too much time in the past is not only a waste of time, but could be dangerous, they would say. All you're going to do is remind this person of bad, mad, sad memories. Bad, mad, sad feelings. You see what I'm saying with that? It's a waste of time. We don't got time. It's just right now. This is all that matters. Here's what you're doing right now. Don't do that no more. Stop it. Right now. And gang, you know what? We do have to remember. And when we start to develop that treatment plan, there were 3 parts to that treatment plan. What were they? Well, the first part is the now. It is important. This is who I'm with. Now. We don't want to live in the past. We don't want to encourage our client to use that past too much anyway in certain ways. We're going to look at and talk about. It is the now with that. And what is that treatment plan? That first step is what? What is the problem? The problem is I was sexually abused 16 years ago. No, that's not the problem. Not right now. You see what I'm saying? And when you establish and operationally define that problem, hey, that person was sexually abused 16 years ago, that's going to be a what? By the way, you better remember this.
A 1.
A what?
A 2.
A number 1. And
Bad things that happen. Oh, yeah. Shit.
It's a real thing that happened.
Real things that happened in the past that were bad. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's there. But gang, when we develop that treatment plan, we do. It's a now thing. That you were sexually abused 16 years ago is not the problem. What is the problem?
You're on drugs.
You're using whatever. Yes, you're using the drug. You're drinking it. You're doing whatever it may be.
So it's a contributing factor, but it's not.
Right now, yes. And so when we look at this, and this is confusing with people. So, yeah, What do you mean that wasn't a problem? No, it is. That's why, hey, it goes right up here. It is a number 1 in our hedonic calculus. And you all remember what that is, right? Mm-hmm. By now, everybody should be able to do our lecture on the hedonic calculus. And it is a number 1. But it's not, when we do this treatment plan, it's not the now problem. And so, where are you now? What's the problem? And then operationally define that problem. What do we mean by operationally define?
Construct into a number.
That we be specific. We speak in scientifically based clinical language specific about this. Problem, client is bummed out. Is that a good problem statement?
No.
Absolutely not. Client has a bad attitude. Is that a good problem statement? No. That you be specific, you be clinically, scientifically specific, operational definition. In other words, you say that stuff as measurably as possible, and things like that. So you see what I'm saying with this stuff? But it is now. What's going on now? Where is the client now? What's the problem now? And then you guys, what's that second step?
Come up with a plan.
Where you want to be.
The goal. Where do you want this client? Where does that client want to be? What's the goal of all this? Again, using operationally defined language. As clinically specific as possible language, establishing the goal. Establishing that goal. And again, the goal ought to be logically, directly related to the problem, right? I mean, think about this for a minute. Problem. The client is depressed. Goal. Stop drinking. Is that a good one? What the hell has it got to do with each other? Nothing. What do you mean there? Everybody who drinks is depressed. What do you mean? Do you see? No, gang. Don't make those kinds of mistakes with this stuff. When you write these treatment plans, they have to be logically related. Well, I thought we were talking about assessment anyway. This is what this is. This is one of the major reasons for assessment, to know what the hell's going on here. The now, and then, but make those logically related with each other. Use the kind of language. No, it's not that this is just your chance to use fancy schmancy $3 psych just as look how smart I am. No, it's not that so much. But it's be specific, be operational. Yes, and there needs to be a logical relationship between the problem and the goal. How are you knowing what this stuff is? You're doing your assessment. Do you see what I'm saying? You're doing your assessment. You're getting to know who this person is, what this is all about, what this, what that, and everything else. And then, once we've established that goal, okay, we got that now. The next step is what? What are we going to do about it? How are we going to get you to the goal? How are we going to get you to that goal? What are we going to do specifically with you? What are we going to do specifically with you to help you get there? You see what I'm saying? Every person. And this is where a major problem happens. Again, in substance abuse, well, we do it with mental health in general. All schizophrenics, all bipolars, all borderlines. But we're especially guilty of this in substance abuse. All alcoholics, all dope fiends, all assholes. You see what I'm saying with that? And we got to remember, this is going to be a very game. Oh, by the way, 2 levels of the goal for us. There are 2 levels of goals. There are 2 levels of, then because of that, 2 levels of what do. This is complicated stuff, you guys. The first level, again, when we're talking about our substance abuse clients, is The first level is the don't do that. The don't do that no more. Now, gang, that's changing, by the way. Fast. The whole idea of don't do that no more and abstinence is changing fast. You guys realize it in this world, right? Jolt programs throughout this country and things like that and everything else, and this whole idea. That's a very controversial, that's a philosophical thing and stuff like that. And so we may say, instead of goal number one being the don't do that no more goal, we may say they change your relationship with your substance goal. Because not only, and it's becoming more and more and more and more accepted and popular. You come in with a really, really, really bad heroin habit. The goal may no longer be get you completely off all drugs. It may be stop using heroin and smoke less of marijuana. Believe it or not, and as offensive as that sounds to the old guard in this field. Hey, the whole thing with alcohol, again, damage control kinds of things. You've got somebody, and they've been in 27 different treatment programs in the last 35 years, and they're still drinking as bad now as they were 25 years ago. And they don't, and this and that and everything else. Is there at some point I stop trying to make you stop drinking, and maybe instead what I got to do is try and teach you how to drink better, safer? And do you realize, look at that, I can see it right there, look at that nonverbal language right there. You are so offended right now, you'd like to kick somebody's ass.
I don't love what you're saying, Dan.
I know that.
I just had a huge debate with someone about this.
But that's where it's headed, you guys. I'm telling you, you got to be ready for that one too.
But why wouldn't you be open to that if it's not been working for 25 years? If for 25 years you've been receiving the same treatment, you've been going by the book, you've been doing everything, and it's not working for him, why wouldn't an alternate treatment be welcome? Because it might be this.
And that's the argument for the. And that is the argument for the harm reduction.
Taking marijuana out of a place.
I'm not. Okay, so I get the whole harm reduction thing, and I'm on board with if you're a hardcore heroin addict, switch to marijuana. But, and it's only my experiential language says to me that as an alcoholic, I can't drink responsibly.
Right.
Once I have one or two drinks, I fuck everything up.
Right.
But treatment for you isn't going to be the same for somebody else.
And I know that.
And guys, and I don't want to turn it, because this is such a wonderfully hot topic in the country. But the point I'm making right now is this, that this don't do that no more may change to do it different. But you know, I do want to, for just a quick second, address this, because harm reduction, first of all, you guys better just be ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's going to happen. 10 years ago, it was a fun little philosophical thing, probably not going to happen. Now, no, harm reduction is not only is it going to happen, it is happening. Mm-hmm. And that's all there is to it. So, and again, so then I teach you how to not give in to. Another very, 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 very important thing, as a matter of fact, anybody who wants to become very wealthy and famous very quickly, as harm reduction does become more and more of a reality in this field, that we're probably going to need some sort of a screening device. There may be some people, quote unquote, alcoholic for which this could work, and there may be some people, quote unquote, alcoholic, that is the worst, that really is the worst idea in the world. And that person who develops that screening device that helps us know the difference between those two people is going to be wealthy and famous.
How would you even go about doing that, though? Wouldn't you have to already have years of experience?
Again,
to be taken serious.
Well, that's the whole thing with psychometrics and psychological testing. I'm sure it can be done, and somebody's going to do that, because one of these days, harm reduction is a reality you better be ready for in this business. And
do you think it's just a fad, though? Do you think in
No,
20, 30 years they'll look back and be like, oh, that got out of hand fast?
I think it's 40, 50, 60 and more years of dismal reality here that we finally say, you know what, we got to change something here. This demand for complete abstinence is just not working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have those safe injection sites, which is something that kind of pushes that in a whole different direction. They're not even receiving treatment.
You guys will probably be meeting a guy by the name of Chris Schaffner before long. Mm-hmm. And Chris is he's a DACT Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that he runs Jolt. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be coming in here and talking to you guys one of these days about his programming and stuff. He does a wonderful job. with that, and he'll be talking to you about that. It is coming. Now, the whole point of this right now is this is such an exhilarating discussion and argument, but I don't want us to go there right now. Harm reduction. But the point I was making is, yeah, in the good old days, that first level goal would be don't do that no more. Stop it. Abstinence. That may be. No, it is changing. And so instead of don't do that no more, that first level goal may be just defining whatever level of change of relationship with that substance in the first place. You see what I'm saying? I saw this hand here first, and then I'll see you. Yes.
Isn't it like we was talking about the methadone? That was something that they came out with that would stop someone from using heroin. It was a harm reduction. It was
Sure.
I mean, they could just come up with something else. I mean, even though some people are misusing the methadone, it's being monitored.
Well, yeah. Guess what
time.
heroin was invented as? A way to get people to work.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was just painkiller.
No. Heroin was initially it was a way to get people off morphine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was lauded as the cure to morphine addiction.
So they're just trying different things, but
Yeah,
I don't believe that saying that, well, no, instead of drinking a 12-pack, you're going to just go down to a 6-pack.
Right, and like I say,
You know.
this is an invigorating argument discussion that we're not going to do right now.
Right.
But the point I wanted to make is that this may be changing from don't do that to do that different. But still, you get what I'm saying with the first level goal. Now, John, you had something to say.
Yeah, primary reinforcers, secondary reinforcers, PREMAC principle. Is this related to the PREMAC principle?
Kind of, well, no, it's not.
Okay.
It's just no.
That's good enough.
Okay, no, not really.
I don't want to send it
I'm
up in a
sorry,
different
Professor,
direction.
I'm not following what you're
Professor,
laying
quit
down
bringing
there.
up shit we haven't talked about.
Pardon me?
The professor's always bringing up shit we haven't talked about.
Who?
No, this is the first time.
I call him the professor. Look at him. Have you seen his hat?
You guys. But anyway, that first level goal, you guys. And again, here's another mistake. Don't assume somebody has a alcohol problem just because they walk into a do I have an alcohol problem assessment office. You know, you were asking me if you have, think about this. Just the fact that you're here right now means you got a problem. No, that's not true. Knock that kind of shit off. You see what I'm saying? Jumping to those kinds of conclusions and things like that. So this isn't a given in and of itself, but whatever that is, don't do that no more. Change what you're doing with that or whatever. That first level goal is changing the nature of the relationship for us with the substance or substances of abuse. And then we have second level goal. What are the second level goals? And that's going to take us to here. I mean, first level goal. What are you going to do? What are you going to do for first level goal? Assign that person to whatever treatment center. It's going to be that big master treatment plan. Go to the ABC treatment center. Provide urine samples once a week. And of course, don't use drugs. Do this, do that. You see what I'm saying? Go to whatever it may include in the big picture.
So like short-term
what you're
goals. Short-term goals, long-term goals. No.
Right now, let's not worry about short-term, long-term.
Okay.
Just this idea of at that level one, what's going to be the treatment plan is the big picture. You're going to go to this treatment center for this long. You're going to do this. You're going to go to these groups. You're going to provide that kind of a thing.
Okay.
Next steps.
Huh?
Next steps.
Well, the steps you're going to take to do and complete that treatment center. That would be that first. But then, gang, we have the second level goals. What is that?
Isn't that where you have to find out why you're doing that?
In other words, what are the specific issues that person is going to have to work on in order to be successful with their first level goals? Does that make sense? In other words, what are the things? And this is where, gang, once again, substance abuse doesn't like to look at this second level stuff. All alcoholics are the same. Hey, the diagnosis uniformity myth. One of the things in your handout. the assumption that all people with the same diagnosis have the same needs. See what I'm saying? All you alcoholics over there, because you're all the same and you all need the same thing, you're all going to get the same thing. All you, once again, all you heroin users over there, all you assholes over here. And that diagnosis unit, that everybody with the same diagnosis have the same needs. And this industry really loves that. Why? It's easier to design big picture packages than individual tailored approaches. Does that make sense? It's easier, cheaper. But the thing is this, you guys.
That's why
Each individual is an individual. What are the unique, specific things this person needs to work on in order to get to the point of success with goal number 1? Does that make sense? Questions? Where do I see questions?
I was just going to say that's why right there, that concept of big, like everybody's the same, is why we're okay with 18%. Like that thinking process of people aren't individuals, and because you're an alcoholic and you're an alcoholic, you're both the same.
And besides that,
that's shitty.
And if you don't get better, well, we know how you people are.
Yeah.
We know how those alcoholics are anyway. And then we've always had our clients as a scapegoat. Mm-hmm. Well, we know how those dope fiends are. Mm-hmm. And that kind of a thing. But gang, this is so very, very important. What are we talking about? Assessment. How do you know about this stuff? Assessment. Goal number 1 is given. I mean, what is it? You're a licensed drug and alcohol treatment facility. What are you supposed to be doing here? Drug and alcohol counseling. Whatever it is, at what level, this, that, and everything else. The first level goal is, well, we won't say don't do that no more. We will accept reality and say, do that different now. And it's usually going to be still, don't do that no more. Stop it, don't do that. Stop using drugs, stop drinking. But gang, you just better be ready. Because in your cohort, by the time you guys get done with this and out there, this is good. Risk management control, that stuff is going to be it's a reality. You better be ready for it. Philosophically, personally, ready for that. But it's this one. This is where it gets tricky. Number 1, because the industry resists it in the first place. Can't they just go to all of us alcoholics are a bunch of assholes group? Can't we just do that? You see what I'm saying? That kind of a thing. No. This second level. What are the specific issues each individual needs to work on? And they may be different for every person.
Yeah, case by case.
Every person. You guys all, everybody here has the same diagnosis. But you all, and let's say that everybody here has even the same first level goal. But you all will have different individual issues you need to work on in order to get to that goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You have an anger issue. You got a self-esteem issue. You got a you see what I'm saying? And this is the one. And gang, how are you going to know what these are? How are you going to know what these are? By knowing the person, by doing your assessment. You see what I'm saying? And of course, that means that what you do about it. Well, the first one, what do you do? Put them in that treatment center and do this and that. The first level stuff, I haven't put them in the treatment center. The second level, what do you do about it? What do you do about those specific issues? What are the specific things you're going to do about those specific issues with that specific person in a way to get them so they can have a chance to be successful at the number 1? Does that make sense? And there again, that starts to get very complicated because here's another thing. Let's say this. You all got the same diagnosis. Let's say this. You all got the same number 1 level goal. And now, this group of people here, you all got a self-esteem issue, going to be one of those second level goals. Then there's another issue. How I help you with your self-esteem may be very different than how I help you with your self-esteem. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see? This is getting complicated, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And where is all of this decision making, knowing about eating coming from? You're doing the best job you can with this assessment. Do you guys see how important assessment is? And we're not even done yet. We're going to take a quick little break and then get back. But do you see, this is starting to get kind of complicated already, isn't it?
I mean, not really. Treat people like people.
Well,
Everybody's a different person.
If everyone's an empath, then they probably have been doing this most of their life with other people anyway, just like, I understand you. But it's the next level where you're meeting with people who are going to say
The problem
things
is,
that
guess, you know, the good thing is the people that have been doing all their life, they're good at it. The other thing is people that have been doing the wrong thing all their life.
Right.
And they're really good at the wrong
Right.
thing too. And that's where it becomes a problem sometimes.
Right.
We've been doing wrong things in this business for a long time. That's why it's so damn hard to change it.
You have to have educated empathy.